The rain hammered against the windows of our little house in Asheville, North Carolina, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Osmond, a 43-year-old carpenter, had always prided myself on my ability to build things, houses, furniture, a stable and loving home for my wife, Clarinda. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Clarinda, a vibrant and outgoing event planner, began working later hours. A big conference, she'd explain, her smile a little too bright, her eyes avoiding mine. I brushed it off. She was ambitious, driven, and I loved that about her. We'd been married for 15 years, a comfortable, familiar love that I believed was unbreakable. Then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations in the hallway. The phone abruptly hung up when I entered the room. "Wrong number," she'd say, a nervous tremor in her voice. My gut twisted with a knot of unease, but I tamped it down. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, and I refused to let suspicion erode it. One evening, Clarinda claimed she had to attend a last-minute meeting out of town. "It's crucial, Osmond," she said, kissing me quickly before rushing out the door. "I'll be back late tomorrow." As her car disappeared down the driveway, a seed of doubt fully sprouted in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I tried to distract myself, working in my workshop, the scent of sawdust usually a comforting balm. But tonight it offered no solace. Driven by an irrational impulse, I decided to check her work email. I knew it was a violation of her privacy, a breach of trust, but the gnawing anxiety was unbearable. I found her password saved on our shared laptop. I told myself I was just easing my worries. The first few emails were innocuous, routine work correspondence. Then I saw it an email with the subject line, "Can't wait." My heart hammered in my chest as I clicked on it. The email was from a man named Bertram, a local real estate developer. The words swam before my eyes, each sentence a dagger twisting in my heart. They were planning a weekend getaway filled with promises of intimacy and declarations of love. It was explicit, undeniable. Clarinda was having an affair, the world tilted on its axis. The room seemed to shrink, the air thick and suffocating. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, followed by a cold, burning rage. 15 years. 15 years of loyalty, love, and devotion, all reduced to this clandestine email, a betrayal of the deepest kind. I spent a sleepless night replaying every moment of the past few months, searching for clues I had missed, signs I had ignored. The late nights, the hushed phone calls, the evasive answers, it all clicked into place with sickening clarity. The next day, I waited for Clarinda to return. When she walked through the door, her face flushed, her eyes sparkling, she looked almost guilty. "How was the meeting?" I asked, my voice carefully controlled. "Oh, it was fine," she said, shrugging off her coat. "Long and tedious, but we got through it." I took a deep breath. "Bertram must be a very persuasive man." Her face paled. "What are you talking about?" I showed her the email. The color drained from her face completely. "Osmond," she stammered, her voice trembling. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Don't even try to lie." I read the email, Clarinda. "I know everything." The dam broke. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed everything. The affair had started months ago, a whirlwind of passion and excitement. She claimed she was unhappy, that I was distant, that our marriage had become stale. But her excuses rang hollow. The truth was, she had simply been selfish, seeking validation and excitement outside our relationship. I listened in stunned silence, the pain a physical ache in my chest. I had loved her with all my heart, given her everything she ever wanted. And this was how she repaid me, with lies, deceit, and betrayal. "I'm so sorry, Osmond," she sobbed, reaching for my hand. "I never meant to hurt you." I recoiled from her touch. "Sorry isn't enough, Clarinda. You've destroyed everything." I told her to leave. I couldn't bear to look at her, to be in the same room with her. She packed a bag and walked out, leaving me standing alone in the wreckage of our marriage. The following weeks were a blur of pain and anger. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I haunted the workshop, trying to lose myself in my work, but the image of Clarinda with Bertram was burned into my brain. I contacted Bertram's wife, Gwyneth. I felt a strange sense of kinship with her, another victim of their deceit. She was devastated, heartbroken. We met for coffee, sharing our stories, our pain. We found solace in each other's company, a shared understanding of the betrayal we had both endured. Gwyneth told me Bertram had a history of infidelity. He was a serial cheater, preying on vulnerable women. I felt a surge of anger not just at Clarinda, but at Bertram for manipulating her, for destroying our lives. I decided I wouldn't let him get away with it. I started digging into his business dealings, using my network of contacts to uncover any shady practices. It didn't take long. Bertram was involved in a series of fraudulent real estate transactions, skimming money from investors and evading taxes. I gathered the evidence and handed it over to the authorities. Within weeks, Bertram was facing serious charges. His reputation was ruined, his business empire crumbling. He lost everything: his money, his status, his freedom. Clarinda, meanwhile, was left to face the consequences of her actions. She lost her job, her friends, her home. She tried to contact me, begging for forgiveness, but I refused to speak to her. I couldn't forgive her. The trust was broken, the wound too deep. I needed to move on, to rebuild my life without her. I focused on my work, pouring my energy into creating beautiful, enduring pieces. I started volunteering at a local homeless shelter, finding purpose in helping others. One day, Gwyneth called me. She had started a support group for victims of infidelity, and she asked if I would be willing to share my story. I hesitated at first, but then I realized that maybe by sharing my experience I could help others heal. I spoke at the meeting, sharing my story of betrayal, pain, and eventual healing. It was difficult but also cathartic. I felt a sense of release, a shedding of the burden I had been carrying for so long. Life wasn't perfect. The scars of betrayal would always remain. But I was learning to live with them, to find joy and meaning in other aspects of my life. I was building a new foundation, one based on self-respect, resilience, and the knowledge that I was worthy of love and happiness. Clarinda eventually moved away, seeking a fresh start. I heard rumors that she was struggling, that she was filled with regret. But I couldn't bring myself to feel sorry for her. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. As for me, I was finally free. Free from the lies, the deceit, the betrayal. Free to build a new life, a life filled with honesty, integrity, and the promise of a brighter future.